Oh.
Pero vamos a grabar y muy buenos días. Buenos días. Good morning.
Una pregunta.
Sí, dime.
Un poco. How did the advanced class go? I missed it. I just forgot to try and get
That's
it.
okay. You can look at the YouTube if you wish.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I will take
you can look at the YouTube. It's all baby steps. It's baby step stuff right now with its past tense and it's going to be a very slow process. So if you miss one or two, or you don't have time to look at the YouTube, it's no big deal to join this week. No big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be, because it's one of those things where if people are looking at coming in on the advanced session on Wednesday, late morning, because the past tense is such a dense subject, it takes a while for just conceptually everything to sink in. And then we're going to take the easiest forms of it first. And it will be a long and ongoing process. So yeah, if you want to take a look at it this week, no worries. Okay. No se preocupen. Okay. Vamos a empezar con algo. I'm going to shorten this video. I'm not going to show the whole video. I'm just going to show maybe the examples and the phrases, the word phrases themselves, and an example of how they might be used. And I want to see if you can sneak some of these in to your speaking. So the one item I want you to check out and make sure you have handy. So I know some people like to print things out. These little questions that were at the end of the slides. And they're very short questions. This is going to be our first breakout. So tus estrategias, your strategies. Tus estrategias para evitar el mal tiempo, el calor del verano. Okay, your strategies to avoid bad summer weather. And even if you're back in the wonderful la la land of the Midwest where it isn't 110, you're going to have the humidity, the flies, all the bad stuff, because, so everybody gets bad weather in the summer at some point. It's just, what kind of bad weather do you get? Okay, so ¿qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué vas a hacer? Es un repaso. This is a review of that future, that many futures. So I'm going to lay out what I want you to do. We're going to look at some possible response things that people may have. You'll be in little groups asking these questions that you see in blue. ¿Qué vas a hacer para superar el calor del verano? Para evitar las temperaturas del verano. What are you going to do to beat the heat? We would say, what are you going to do to beat the heat? And there is no one word in Spanish that translates perfectly for beat. They're all different, distinct words, depending on what we mean by beat, whether it's beating eggs or beating your
spouse.
Yeah, beating. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What is that? Beat your children? That sounds terrible. Beat your dog? That's not good either. Yeah, beating somebody. Beating up. Kids beat up on other kids. There you go. Not harmless, but something you expect, right? That kind of beat, or beat as in winning in a game, or beat the heat. So, ¿qué vas a hacer para superar el calor? ¿Qué vas a hacer? And here is the key when you answer this question. And many of you will have different ways you'll answer. Vas a hacer. What are you going to do? The vas will be answered with a voy. And remember, when we talk about future, the most common way conversationally to use futures, use voy a and stick in a new verb. ¿Qué vas a hacer? When we get to this verb hacer, that verb needs to go away and turn into a totally different verb. What are you going to do? You know, I'm going to drink something. I'm going to turn on some device. I'm going to leave and go someplace else, right? We need a second verb that steps in for hacer, that tells what it is we are going to do, but that verb will be an infinitive. And so, voy a beber, voy a salir, voy a viajar, voy a usar, boom, 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 boom. You're going to plug in a second verb, but it will be an infinitive form. This is the most common way of expressing ideas in the future. There is in Spanish a formal future tense, like saying, I will turn on, I will use. But future tense is not used super frequently. It is used, but it's not super frequent, not as frequent as using this going to do structure. Okay, conversationally, future tense is used a lot for formal writing. It's used in other situations to talk about probabilities, some other stuff that you probably don't need to know about now. But little future tense. This is going to be a short breakout session, probably 3 to 5 minutes is all you're going to need if you've got a group of 3 people with you, ¿verdad? Y vamos a hacer. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any question before we go into breakout sessions? Sí o no?
No.
I'm going to do something, right? Voy a. Muy fácil. Okay. And I don't even think I need to show you the question. Okay. ¿Qué vas a hacer? What are you going to do? Okay. 3, 4, 5 minutos. Hit your join button. I will time it. Uy, si funciona. If it works, I gotta get my timer to pull up. 3 minutos. Aquí vamos. Ok, vale. Voy a usar un ventilador. I'm going to use a fan. Voy a prender, voy a encender el aire acondicionado. I'm going to turn on the AC, air conditioning. Voy a salir de Arizona. I'm going to leave Arizona. Wow, I wish I could do that one, but I can't. No lo puedo hacer. Hay muchísimas cosas.
Did you fix it?
Ok, a ver, aquí vienen
Are you gonna put it
más y
in
más y
first?
más. Excelente. Uy, Mark, me gusta tu camiseta, sí, de Michigan State. Uy, Lansing, sí, ok. Ah, a ver,
Mi esposa y my daughter,
hija,
hija,
Not long enough.
se graduaron.
yes.
Se graduaron, they graduated, se graduaron de Michigan State, sí. Buena universidad. Muy bien. Bueno, quiero oír, I want to hear, quiero oír sus ideas de qué vas a hacer durante el verano. Bien. ¿Qué vas a hacer? I'd like you to share some of the ideas that you used in your small groups or any questions you had in using that.
So is this correct? I'm trying what I'm doing here is voy a bajar la temperatura el aire acondicionado.
Sí, exacto. Exacto, muy bien. Buena
Okay.
idea. Me gusta, sí. Algo más, something else.
Mi esposa y yo vamos a hacer margaritas congeladas
Oh, wow.
con mango y lima.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I'll stop by, Pat.
¡Qué buena idea! ¡Qué idea
mí también.
maravillosa! Sí.
Las margaritas.
Excelente. ¿Qué más?
Juanita, how did you make that sentence that you lower the temperature again?
Oh, voy a bajar la temperatura el aire acondicionado.
En el aire acondicionado, sí, aire acondicionado. I know there's no abbreviation like AC. Aire acondicionado. It is really a mouthful. Yeah, aire acondicionado. Okay, excelente. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más?
I have one and then I have a question.
Sí,
Maybe
sí.
you could correct this. Vamos a alquilar una casa al lado del agua cerca de Seattle para un mes.
Voy a alquilar. I'm going to rent. Voy a alquilar una casa a las orillas, on the shore.
And
Okay.
And we were trying to figure out how you would. I put near the water, al lado de. We would say on the water.
Al lado de, sí, we would say on the water. Al lado del mar, a las orillas del mar, on the shore. A las orillas means on the shore. Sí. A las orillas. Yeah, you know, these prepositions are the hardest things in all languages. When you use on, in, at, to, yeah, of, from, with, all the they're different. They're different in all languages. You just need to learn to know how to pull those together and what's the most usual. You know, you could also voy a alquilar una casa en el estado de Washington. We're gonna rent a house in Washington. See, so they're different things you can combine, but a las orillas del mar is on the shore. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Voy a preparar las cenas frías. No voy a usar mi horno.
No voy a usar el horno. Sí, qué buena idea. No usar el horno puede ayudar muchísimo. That can help a lot. Sí. Si alguien puede cocinar afuera, if you can cook outdoors, afuera, sí. A la parrilla is on the grill, a la parrilla. A la parrilla, I'll put it up in the chat box. A la parrilla, double R. A la parrilla is on the grill, a la parrilla. Muy bien. ¿Qué más? ¿Alguien va a nadar en una piscina?
Sí,
Sí.
voy a ir a nadar temprano en la mañana.
Sí. Hay que, sí, si una persona va a nadar, todavía vas a nadar por la mañana, ¿no? Por la mañana, in the morning, en la mañana. Bien, es buena idea. Bien. ¿Qué más?
Voy a comer helado.
Sí, vas a comer helado. Excelente. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Voy a tomar una ducha fría.
Una ducha fría. Muy bien. ¿Hay alguien que va a ir al norte?
Flagstaff.
Sí, hay alguien que va a ir a Payson, va a ir a Strawberry, va a ir a Heber Overgaard. ¿Alguien aquí o no? Hay muchas personas que tienen cabañas en el norte de Arizona, ¿sí? En las montañas es mejor. Bueno, ¿algo más o no?
That answers the
Voy
question.
a comer helado.
Comer helado. Excelente. Lisa, tienes una pregunta.
Well, that answered the question because northern Arizona, so you'd say norte Arizona. You wouldn't say norte after. I mean, that's
En
answered
el norte de
another
Arizona.
student's question.
En el norte de Arizona, ¿sí? Mucha gente, many people, mucha gente va al norte de Arizona. Mucha gente va, and notice it has to be la gente va, because gente es singular. Gente es una palabra singular, entonces va es un verbo singular. Mucha gente va al norte de Arizona. Mucha gente va a las montañas. And when we use ba, we need a. Right? Because ba is moción. Ba is motion. So we need that little preposition after the verb ir. Okay. Bueno, hay otra pregunta.
Una pregunta.
Sí, dime.
What's the best verb for like to remain inside, to stay inside?
Oh, stay. Ok. Qué buena pregunta. Quedarse. Voy a demostrar. I'm going to show. And this actually ties in rather nicely. Oh, hang on. I don't know if you can see this. Ay, sí se puede ver. Sí. Okay. La pantalla aquí. Here we go. This ties in nicely to these little se verbs. This is a very nice segue. So, wow, Mark, you brought up the right question at the right time. To stay inside. And this is what many of us do. I mean, for our normal day, right? To stay inside. And here is the verb that means to stay. Quedarse. Qué curioso. It is a se. It's got a funny thing hanging off its behind end, its little caboose there. Quedarse. Quedar es un verbo muy regular. Quedar by itself means one thing. So this is going to be our little introduction into the things with se. And we're going to do a little walk through with the list of se verbs I gave you and the little video with Carlitos from last week. Quedar, vamos a ver. Quedar by itself with no se on the end means one thing, and quedarse is slightly different. Now, these forms of quedar and quedarse are the forms you would see if you looked it up in a dictionary, okay? These are in the infinitives. They are not conjugated. They're just, the action word by itself, not telling who is doing it yet. Quedar means, well, it can mean a bunch of things, but on its simplest level, it means to remain, to be left over. Oh my gosh, you know what, you guys? Quedar means, quedar means a gazillion things. To be left, to remain, it can be used like a substitute for estar, for location. Yeah, quedar can be used to say that something fits, like clothing. So quedar has many, many, many meanings, but quedarse, when we use it with a se, it means to stay. Okay, to stay. And here is what happens. Here is a little preview. Here is what happens to quedar when we use it with the se. As the infinitive, it's quedarse. And that little se is there to indicate, ooh, I'm a special verb. I'm a verb that's going to need a verb plus a little pronoun, and I cannot skip the pronoun. Okay, so here are all the things that se turns into. For yo, it'll turn into me. For nos, it'll turn, for nosotros, it'll turn into nos. For te, for tú, it'll turn into te. This is what's used for vosotros in Spain, but you guys won't be needing that. And then se and se. These are special pronouns. These are all the pronouns. The me, te, se, nos, os, and se again. Yes, that's not a mistake. That's repeated. So third person always gets the same pronoun. This is what the se will turn into when we have what we call a reflexive verb. And now you learned that most of the time we don't use pronouns in Spanish, right? We skip the, like, so pronouns like yo, we skip. Tú, we skip. Él, ella, usted, we may skip, may not, depends on how, you know, whether it's understood from context. Nosotros will generally skip. Vosotros will generally skip. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, they'll use if they need to define, but they may skip it as well. But these little pronouns, these are situations where when you have what is called a reflexive verb, that is the dictionary definition, has the se hanging off the back end. The se turns into these, and we cannot skip these pronouns. We must have it there because it changes the meaning of the verb ever so slightly. But here's how it's going to look different. The conjugation of the verb will match up with, be in the same form as that pronoun. So the yo verb gets that me pronoun, and the me matches up with the quedo. You know, you would expect a yo verb to get a pronoun that looks like it should be talking about the yo person, and that's the me, right? For this, nos quedamos, we cannot use it just as quedamos if you mean stay. It must be nos quedamos. But a nosotros verb gets a pronoun that looks like, ooh, this is related to nosotros, right? So they have to be in the same kind of format. The tú verb form, which is quedas, gets the te pronoun in front of it. Te quedas. Te quedas. If you were in Spain, you would use quedáis. But of course, we don't use that in Latin America. Then se queda, and the plural form se quedan. So the pronoun is going to be in a form that looks like it matches up with a yo verb, right? The pronoun matches up with, wow, a tú verb form. The se works for a lot of different people, any one human being or any group of people, yeah? And then the nos pronoun matches up with a nosotros verb. So in other words, they are in the same kind of format. So I stay inside. Me quedo en casa. There you go. Me quedo en casa. I stay at home. Me quedo en casa. And that's all you need. Nos quedamos en casa. We stay at home. If you're talking about the kids stay inside, los niños se quedan en casa. En casa is the at-home part of it. So that's what happens with stay. Bien? And that is
what if you, how you're gonna say, I mean, like, you know, I'm sorry. Since we're trying to, I think Mark is trying to answer the question about this. So everything has to be like, we are using, you know, at first we were all using boy a. So if you're using this me quedo en casa, so how you gonna put it
make
in there?
that work? Okay.
Yes.
Que buena pregunta. Okay. I wasn't thinking that far out. Okay. Let's now think that far out. So let's say you want to put it in that future format. Where all these little pronouns go becomes kind of a problem, doesn't it? Yeah. And now when I've got voy a, well, for voy a, I need to use the infinitive, right? So it's quedarme. Voy a quedarme en casa.
That's what I thought.
Voy a quedarme en casa. Now, there is an alternate you can do. Because I have a verb followed by an infinitive, a conjugated verb, voy a, followed by an infinitive, quedar, whenever I've got a pronoun with that, no matter what kind of pronoun it is, because I've got a two verb format, I have a choice of what I can do in Spanish. I can tag it on to the end of the infinitive, quedarme, okay? But it has to be a me because I'm the one who's going to do it, okay?
Yeah.
Or I can take that me and put it in front of the verb. Because if I'm using a plain old conjugated verb, it is always okay in Spanish to put it in front of the conjugated verb. So the me can go in two different places. Voy a quedarme en casa. Voy a quedarme en casa. Or equally correct, equally common, to say, me voy a quedar en casa. You have a choice of what you can do. Because I have a two verb combination, verb followed by an infinitive, there are two places that word me can go. In front of the conjugated verb, me voy a quedar en casa, or attached to the end of the infinitive, voy a quedarme en casa. That is an option that's always okay. Bien?
Question.
Sí,
So,
dime.
quedar is a reflexive verb. Quedarse is a reflexive verb.
Sí.
Is gustar a reflexive verb?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Buena pregunta. Good question. Okay. Pronouns serve different purposes. And this is where it causes confusion for the English speaker moving into Spanish, because you're not thinking about what kind of pronoun do I need to use, because you just don't, okay? But there are different types of pronouns. So gustar is not a reflexive verb, not a reflexive verb. Gustar uses, it does use me. It can use nos. It can use te. But instead of se, it uses these two, le and les. Okay. So, pronouns might be subject pronouns. They tell you who does the action. They may be object pronouns. They tell you who receives an action. Okay. And those objects, they don't talk about who's doing the action. The objects now will split into three different kinds of objects. Objects might be reflexive, meaning the person who does the action receives it. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. They might be direct, like I see him, I see her, I see them, I see you. That's a direct object. They might be indirect. I'm paying you $20. The thing I'm paying is the $20, but I'm paying it to you. That's an indirect object. And in Spanish, mete and nos are shared pronouns for direct, indirect, and reflexive. They're shared, meaning the nice thing is I never really much have to think about the pronouns me, te, and nos. Me, te, and nos, no matter what the function of the pronoun is, are always going to be me, te, and nos. All right. But across the breadth of what kind of object is it, Spanish is going to do different pronouns for those third person. Okay. So for direct objects, things that receive action directly, that's, wow, using the definition to define itself. For direct objects, pronouns will turn into these things: lo, la, los, and las. For indirect objects like gustar, it'll be these two, le or les, to talk about, you know, he likes or she likes. And for reflexives, they stay in this se format. So sadly, it's third person when you're talking about somebody else, be that one somebody else or a group of people, somebody else. That is the one that causes people problems, because then you start to need to think, is it an indirect object or a reflexive? Nobody thinks about that in English. So you just need to get comfortable with the situations when we will use it. We're going to talk about those se situations today. Okay. That is a big topic, but it's a good thing that you asked, because gustar uses technically a different set of pronouns, except that mete and nos, wow, they share. Yeah, they share. So it's the le and les that's different. So you'll never hear somebody say ever, never, 0 times, se gusta. Se gusta is not a thing. It's le gusta or les gusta. Bien? Okay. And you just need to get comfortable with the situations, how they match up, because that grammar part of it takes a while to sink in, unless you're the type of person who loves grammar, which most people don't. Okay. And most people haven't thought about grammar since 4th grade. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these se words, and we're going to take a look at the ones I gave you in the preview for the Carlitos video. All right. Because the Carlitos video had a whole bunch of things, and you may have understood, well, actually, before I show the se words that I gave you, quick reactions. When you listened to the Carlitos video, did you understand about 60% of it pretty easily? 70% of it? Only 50?
Yeah.
And be honest, that's okay.
His pictures make it so clear what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on purpose.
If I had a tablet with me when I watched it, I probably would have written down words. But if I'm making dinner, I just have to let it wash over me, and I still understand.
Yeah, and that's okay too. That's okay too. All right. Okay, so it was not like super easy to get 100% of that without the word props, without the drawings, without the gestures.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and revisit that, because the sad truth is that se in Spanish is used in a whole bunch of ways. Okay, and the word se, I'm going to actually preview it with this even.
I had trouble with the with the conjugated Spanish verbs.
Okay, that's all right.
I mean, from Spain.
Yeah,
Oh.
and most of the conjugated verbs were done talking about either the Carlitos or Yayo or Yaya, grandma or grandpa. Okay, most of them were done in third person. There were not a whole lot of yo verbs in there or nosotros verbs. Most of them were done in third person, talking about one person or a group of people. Okay. Bien. I want to show you one thing because there are a lot of verbs in there that used a form of se in front of a verb, but se is used about, maybe 7 different ways in Spanish. Oh, what a way to really make your Monday morning even more depressing. Here we go. Se is used in a bunch of different ways. So it is kind of impossible to say, what does se mean? Because se can mean about 7 different things depending on that. So here's what you need to be thinking. Most of the time, se is going to pair up with something else. Se is going to be a part of a phrase, part of a chunk, if you will. It's going to be paired up with a verb of some kind. Here's the one situation where it is not paired up with anything else. So most of the time, you have to think of how se is used in the context, not what the word se means by itself. Se, as I wrote it down here, se with an accent, un tilde, see, with a tilde on the e. That is a special situation. That is the yo form of saber, okay? The yo form of saber, to know. So se means I know. It means I know, but usually you won't hear it just as se or even as yo sé. You'll usually hear it as lo sé. Most of the time they'll put a lo in front of it, meaning technically, oh, I know it. You might hear, because somebody wants to be emphatic, yo lo sé. Yo lo sé. I know it. Or ya, meaning already. Oh, meaning that somebody knew it before those words even left your mouth. Ya lo sé. I already know it. I already know. But often, se is paired with a lo sé. I know it. It might be simply, no sé. I don't know. Yeah. Or it might be, they might put the lo in front of it because the lo is just talking about whatever it is that you don't know. No lo sé. So you might hear I don't know as no sé. You might hear as no lo sé. And you just have to get comfortable with no lo sé when that sé is not combined with another verb. It's the yo form of saber. Okay, so that is one meaning of se, because you're not going to see somebody write this out if they say it to you. You're not going to see the accent mark. You're not even going to hear the accent mark. It's just there. Yeah, it's there in the written form. All right, so that is the one meaning of se that is going to be different from all these other meanings of se. So let's take a quick look at the kind of cheat sheet I gave you. Terms of, he used yayo and yaya a lot. That's just in Spain, not so much really Latin America, but in Spain, yayo and yaya are grandma, grandpa. That's it. Okay, so it's an affectionate form. Yeah. Latin America, oops, yeah, you probably don't want to use that, but in Spain they do that. Again, the big F-bomb word. So he used it quite a lot because Spaniards use this all the time, and to them it is not a cuss word. So, you know, they're like, hey, you people in Latin America, you got a problem with coge? Okay, too bad. But yeah, we don't use it, right? And do know that, you know, somebody in Latin America will probably, instead of coque, use toma or agarra. Agarra is grab. It's a little more aggressive than toma. Toma is to take something. So you'll hear those two alternative words. But here are all kinds of special words with se. And I'm going to kind of give you a lowdown of what they mean by themselves without the se. Se cae means falls down, or drops. Cae just means fall. But we use a preposition in English, fall down. Se cae. Yeah, se cae, fall down. Se ensucia, gets dirty. And the second form, se ensucia, is what they call a subjunctive, meaning it may or may happen. There's some doubt about whether it's really happening. So just know it's this combination of se ensucia, gets dirty. Somebody gets dirty. Para has no say in it, but para is one way somebody might just say, hey, stop. And now notice Grandpa was saying at some point, te echo, I'll toss you out. I'll kick you out. We might say in English, I'll kick you out of the room. Yeah. Echar literally means to throw. Te echo means I'll throw you out. But, we know it doesn't mean physically necessarily throwing something. It can mean, they threw him out of the room because he was behaving badly. And that's exactly what Carlitos was doing. But notice here that te echo, that's not a reflexive. It's not a se. It's not a se echa. It's te echo. That's a direct object. Te echo, you, I'll throw out. And the te does not match the yo form. Oh, it means yo is doing something to somebody else. Okay. Se la pone means he puts it on. And they were talking about the coverall, the bib, the thing, so he didn't get dirty painting, right? Se la pone, he puts it on himself. Here's a true reflexive. The person who does the action does it to themselves. Or the se la pone could mean he's putting it on the kid, which in this case, I think it was. Se pone contento is a special phrase that means somebody becomes a certain way emotionally. Se pone contento, gets happy, becomes happy. Se pone can mean to put something on yourself like sunscreen or clothing. Se pone with an adjective can mean to get a certain way, to get in a certain state. Se queda, stays in a place, right? Queda without it means to be remaining like leftover. Se sorprende is to get surprised, become surprised. Reírse was not conjugated in that one situation. It means to laugh at something, reírse de. It is a reflexive verb. Se lo lleva, in this case, means he takes someone somewhere. Se oye means is heard. Se queme means it's a subjunctive. Burns himself. Grandma didn't want him to burn himself. They were putting it in a hypothetical situation. Mete is to put, but not like poner. Mete is to put something inside of something else, like a pocket or a box or a bag or, a bowl. Desenchufa was a special verb, unplugs. You'll notice these two don't have a se with them. Okay. Oh, we had a seguir with an yendo verb. Sigue saliendo, keeps coming out. Keeps coming out of something. So we'll do a walkthrough quickly. Se lo pone, puts it on, meaning clothing. Se mira means looks at himself. Se asusta is gets scared. Yeah. Asustar just means to frighten, you know. If a dog gets very aggressive and frightens somebody, it's just asusta. Me asusta scares me, but se asusta means he gets scared or she gets scared. Se rompe means those dishes get broken. They become broken. Tumbar is to knock something over. In the case they use it, they use se caen again, that's saying to say that they drop or they fall. Ooh, then he talked about the dishes belonging to grandma and grandpa. Se casaron, they got married. Casarse is to get married, to get married. Literally, people get married to each other. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Sí, dime.
Back on the breaking the plates, even though Carlitos clearly is the one that broke them,
Yeah.
you say the plates got broken? Or
Yeah, quite often that is done. And quite often that is done to indicate, oops, accident, didn't mean for that to happen. So there's a difference between a child throwing a tantrum and purposely being angry and lifting the plate and throwing it and smashing it because he wants to break that, right?
so the
Out of
rompen
anger, he wants to. But a lot of these things, when they happen by accident, you'll hear us say.
And it's conjugated for the they, for the plates as opposed to
Yes,
he.
it is
Okay.
conjugated for the plate. Muy bien, very good. Se pone, so what we want you to do is to just get used to this. Se, this is an example where se accompanies a verb very frequently, but they'll have kind of differences in meaning. You heard a little phrase, and this I only threw in because it has no se in it, but it's something that is used a lot when somebody literally doesn't want you to get all worked up about something. When somebody says no pasa nada, it literally means nothing happens, but it's kind of like somebody saying, don't worry yourself over that. No pasa nada. It's nothing. It's nothing. No pasa nada. Literally nothing's happening, but somebody says that when they don't want you to fret over something. When somebody says no pasa nada, they're saying, no big deal. Okay, it happened, but so what? No pasa nada. Okay, bien. Se can be used in many, many, many different ways. And the more on that later, we're going to do more on that now. Se can be used to say, many, many uses of se. Se can be used in a straight up reflexive, meaning someone does something, both does an action and receives that action. Se can mean that it can give the verb a special twist in meaning. Like reírse, to laugh at. Okay, so not necessarily somebody doing the action and receiving it, but it can give the verb a special meaning. Okay, se can be used as kind of a kind of fake passive voice, like saying the plates are broken. Yeah, like saying Spanish is spoken. Se habla español. Se habla de español means Spanish is spoken. Yeah. And yeah, so there are, and se can be used as a, what we call a reciprocal action. Like, se besan, they kiss each other. Se besan, besar is to kiss. I can just say, Quique la besa. Quique kisses her. But if Quique is kissing Susana, then Quique y Susana se besan. They kiss each other. So what this verb say, there are many, many, many shades of meaning, and you have to look at not just the word say, but how it is used in combination with the verb afterwards. Okay. Okay. And I know that's going to sound pretty uncomfortable right now, but you hear say used a lot. You saw how many, you know, this Carlitos video was listed as a super beginner, like the easiest of easiest, but it used a whole bunch of say verbs. So I'm going to turn this on and we're going to do a little walkthrough on part of the story so you get a rolling translation of what it meant. Bien? Okay. Are we okay with that? Okay. Because some of you may have understood like 60% of it with no drawings at all. You may have understood by watching his drawings 70 to 80% of it. You may be super great, and maybe because of a background with another language, you got like 90% of it. Okay, bien. But I think it is worth it in this case to see all the different things, all the different ways we'll translate se combined with a different verb. Okay, a ver, and I'm skipping some. Oops, perdón. I've got to turn on share. Perdón. Okay, a ver. Make sure I've got that on. Okay.
Hola. Pues sí. Hoy.
And don't you love the canes? Don't we love grandparents to be shown as people who need canes? Yeah. Okay. But notice how right away, because of his drawings, you understand they're older people.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, yeah.
There we go.
La mamá.
And I'm going to do a rolling translation as he talks. Carlitos' mom
Marina
has to take Marina. Marina es la bebé. Marina is the baby of the family, okay? Llevar a Marina. And llevar is a verb that means transport. So she's going to put her in the car seat and take her in the car or walk over with her. We don't really know, but she's going to take Marina to the doctor, okay?
A Marina, al bebé, la tiene que llevarla al hospital.
Llevarla, take her. She is a direct object. Who are we taking? We're taking her. Llevarla al hospital, taking her to the hospital.
Al hospital, a ver al doctor.
A ver,
Sí.
to see the doctor.
La mamá lleva a Carlitos a casa.
And mom takes Carlitos. Carlitos is way too much trouble if you've also got a baby. So Carlitos is going to grandparents.
A casa de sus abuelos.
To grandma and grandpa's house.
Y Carlitos está contento.
Oh, he feels how?
Happy.
He's happy. Sí. Carlitos, sí. A Carlitos le gusta ir a casa de sus abuelos. He likes to go to grandma and grandpa's house.
Sí, está muy contento.
He's very happy.
Porque le gusta mucho ir a ver.
He likes
a
going
sus
to see them
abuelos.
very much, his grandma and grandpa.
Entonces, en la casa,
So,
la
in the
abuela,
house,
la abuela de Carlitos
Carlitos'
está
grandma.
ordenando.
Oh,
casa.
and here we've got an está ordenando. She is organizing. She is tidying. She is tidying up the house. She's putting the house in order. Where different ways you may say that in English, but she is doing that right now. So notice when he's using está with a verb also.
Está limpiando.
Está limpiando. She is cleaning.
Casa y le dice a Carlitos.
Le dice, she says to him, And now it can't be a se. She says it to him, and the to him is le. Le dice. She tells him, Carlitos,
Carlitos, vete, ves con tu abuelo.
go with your grandpa. Grandma does not want him underfoot. Have we all done this? Yes, we've all. Vete a ver tu abuelo. Go see your grandpa.
Ves con tu abuelo.
Go with your
Tu
grandpa.
abuelo está en el garaje.
Your grandpa is in the garage. No está.
En el garaje.
Está en el garaje. He's in the
está
garage.
El abuelo, sí, el abuelo tiene 3 pelos,
He's got 3
igual
hairs.
que Carlitos.
Carlitos, dad, abuelo, they all get 3 hairs. Okay.
Y el abuelo de Carlitos está pintando.
Ooh, we've got an estar with ando. Está pintando. He is painting.
Está pintando una silla.
He's
Una
painting
silla.
a chair.
Está pintando una silla de color blanco.
De color blanco.
Ujú. Y Carlitos lo ve.
Ah, lo ve. He sees him. That's a direct object. Sees him. Carlitos sees him, meaning, yeah, grandpa. Lo ve.
Y le dice,
And he
Yayo.
says to him, le dice, says to him, le dice. It's an indirect object. Le dice.
Yayo. Yayo es abuelo, ¿no? Es lo mismo. Yayo, yo quiero pintar. Quiero pintar.
Carlitos wants to paint. Well, of course, whatever grandpa is doing, that's what he wants to do. That's fun for
Quiero
Carlitos.
pintar.
One question.
la silla.
Sí.
Y el
Quick question. Just a minute ago, Carlitos lo ve and then le dice.
Yes. So
Why the lo?
Lo is a direct object. Who does he see? Grandpa. The direct object answers a question, who or what, with the action. Action is sees. Who does he see or what does he see? He sees him. That's what we call a direct object. And the direct object is a one person, grandpa, and therefore lo stands in to represent grandpa. He sees him.
But when he says to him, it's le.
But when you say something to him, it is le.
Oh, okay.
What? Okay,
That
let's apply that question of a direct object. Who or what related to the action? What is he saying? Well, he's saying a bunch of words, right? We don't really have a direct object, but to whom is he talking? He's talking to grandpa. When you do something to somebody or for somebody, it is an indirect object. And then we need to use le or les.
Okay, that helps.
Bien?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you don't have to think about that because in English, it's always him. Tell him or tell something to him.
Sure.
And often in English, we say tell him. But him is not the thing coming out of Carlitos' mouth. It's being told, right? So, le dice tells him that's an indirect object.
El abuelo.
It helped when you said says to him.
Yes. Says to him is le dice. Says to him.
Okay.
Carlitos.
So abuelo tells him, meaning Carlitos, le dice, no, Carlitos.
Entonces, Carlitos ve unos pinceles.
Oh, he sees the thing he has in his hand. Pincel is a brush, okay? A paintbrush, unos pinceles. He
Ve
sees
unos pinceles y los coge.
and he
Pero
y los coge, he grabs them.
pinceles estaban en pintura.
Oh, and estaban en pintura. They were in paint.
En pintura roja.
Oh,
Pintura roja.
en pintura
Sí,
roja.
sí,
They were in
pintura
red paint.
roja. Y Carlitos coge los pinceles
He grabs the
y
brushes
la pintura
and the paint,
se cae.
and the paint drops. Se cae. The paint drops, the paint falls down.
Cae al suelo. Sí.
The paint falls to the ground.
al suelo y el suelo se ensucia.
And the floor gets dirty. Se ensucia. The floor gets dirty.
Se ensucia de pintura,
Gets dirty with paint.
de pintura roja.
With red
Sí,
paint.
se ensucia de rojo.
It's
Y el abuelo
dirty with red.
lo ve y le dice,
And perdón, sorry, we had a hiccup there. We'll have to restart that. Perdón. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Otra vez. Okay. And you're going to hear an estar thing again.
ensuciando. Entonces,
You're getting things dirty.
Carlitos está aburrido.
He's
Sí.
bored.
Empieza a caminar.
He starts to
Empieza a
walk.
caminar por el garaje.
He starts
Por
to
el
walk
garaje.
around the garage.
Encuentra una pelota.
He finds
Una
a ball.
pelota de fútbol.
He
Sí.
finds a soccer
Y
ball.
empieza a jugar. Juega
He starts
con
to
la
play.
pelota.
He starts to
con
play
la
with the
pelota.
ball.
Pero claro, es peligroso.
But of course,
Es
it's
peligroso.
kind of dangerous
Sí.
to be doing this around
Y
paint.
con la pelota le da a un cubo de
And
pintura.
the ball,
Un cubo de pintura
the ball hits a bucket. Cubo is a bucket. It hits a bucket of paint.
verde.
Hits a bucket of
verde,
green
de color
paint.
verde. Y claro,
And
toda
of
la
course-
pintura, pues, por el suelo.
And all the paint's all over the floor
Sí,
now, right?
La pintura ensucia el suelo.
The paint dirties up the
Entonces,
floor.
el abuelo le dice,
And now notice the paint dirties the floor, but get dirty is se ensucia. Get dirty is se ensucia. Okay, to give you a little idea. Okay,
Carlitos, para.
he says, Grandpa says to Carlitos, le dice, stop.
Para.
Stop.
Si no paras,
If you don't
te
stop,
echo.
I'm
Te
throwing you
echo
out.
Fuera,
I'm throwing you
fuera del
out,
garaje.
out of the
Y
garage.
Carlitos le dice, no, por favor.
Yeah, Carlitos, right. Now, after the fact, please beg forgiveness. Please
No,
no. Please no, Grandpa.
Es que ya yo, estoy aburrido.
Es que estoy aburrido. It's just that I'm bored. It's just that es que. It's just that I'm bored.
Por favor, déjame pintar.
Please
Yo
let me
quiero
paint.
pintar.
I want to paint.
Entonces, el abuelo le dice,
And Grandpa says to
"Vale,
him,
vale,
okay,
creo que es mejor.
I think it's
El
better.
abuelo coge una bata y se
Ah.
la pone.
Bata can be a robe. In this case, it's like an overall, something to protect him from getting this stuff all over his clothing.
Se la pone a Carlitos.
And he puts
le
it on
pone
Carlitos.
La bata para que
Se la
no-
pone, se
no-
la pone means he takes this thing. Here's the la bata. Se la pone, he puts it on him. And the on him is the se la pone, he puts it on him.
no se ensucie,
So he
Para que-
doesn't get himself dirty.
no se ensucie la ropa.
So he doesn't get his clothing
Le
dirty.
da un pincel
He gives him a brush. Le da. He gives a brush to him. Le is to him. Yeah. Le da. Gives him. Because the thing he's giving is the brush. Un pincel. Le da. He gives it to him. We're just putting focus on he's giving it to him. Le da.
y le da pintura,
And he gives him paint.
pintura verde,
He
pintura
gives him green
de
paint.
color verde y le da una madera, un
And
trozo,
he gives him
un trozo
a
de
piece of
madera
wood.
y le dice, toma, Carlitos,
Take it.
pinta,
Toma.
pinta esto.
Paint
Entonces,
this. Just some random piece of wood, right? Don't care. Just go paint that.
Carlitos se pone contento.
Se pone contento. And now it's not se pone la bata. He puts on, it's not se la pone, puts the, the overall on him or the coverall on him. Se pone with a description, contento. And that means Carlitos becomes happy. He turns into a happy state. Now he's no longer bored or upset. He's happy. Se pone contento. He gets happy. He becomes happy.
Y empieza a pintar.
And he starts to paint.
Ujú. Entonces, el abuelo oye a la abuela.
Ah, grandpa hears grandma.
La abuela lo llama.
Ah, calls him. Lo llama, calls him. Who does she call? Him. Lo llama, calls him.
Lo llama, la abuela dice, abuelo, abuelo, ven.
She says,
El
Grandpa, come
abuelo
on.
la oye y
Oh, grandpa hears her. La oye, he hears her.
sale.
And he
Sale
leaves. He
del-
goes
del
out.
garaje.
He leaves the garage.
Carlitos se queda solo.
Carlitos remains by himself. Oh, here's a way of saying he's left alone. Se queda solo. He is by himself, or he is left alone. Se queda solo. He's all by himself. He's all by himself. Se queda solo.
El garaje.
In
Sí.
the garage.
Entonces, Carlitos ve que
Carlitos
su abuelo
sees-
no está pintando.
He sees that grandpa's not painting.
No está pintando la silla.
He's not
Y
painting the chair.
Carlitos piensa,
Carlitos
bueno, voy a
thinks,
ayudar.
I'm gonna help. We all know how that helped. Yeah. I'm
Voy
gonna
a
help.
ayudar al
Voy a
yayo
ayudar. I'm gonna
para
help grandpa.
pintar de blanco
I'm gonna
la
help him paint this white
silla, ¿no?
this
Sí.
chair.
Pero Carlitos tiene el pincel con pintura verde
Oh, but he's got the brush with green paint
y lo deja, lo pone en la silla.
and he leaves it. Lo deja. Lo is talking about el pincel. Lo deja. He leaves it. Physically leaves it. Lo pone, physically puts it on top of. He leaves it. He puts it on top of the chair. Lo deja. He leaves it behind. Lo pone. He puts it on top of.
Silla, sí. Pone el pincel en la silla. El pincel lo pone en la silla y la
puts it
silla,
on the
claro,
chair.
la silla se ensucia.
The chair, of
con
course,
color
gets
verde.
dirty with green paint,
Y
with green color.
Carlitos lo ve.
Carlitos sees it.
¡Qué bonito! Sí, qué bien.
Those look good.
Qué bonito el color blanco y verde. Blanco y verde.
green and
sí,
white.
Queda muy bonito, muy bien.
Looking good.
Entonces,
Carlitos says.
Carlitos coge
He
dos
grabs-
pinceles,
He grabs two
pintura
brushes,
blanca, pintura verde
white
y va
and
pintando la silla. Blanco,
Oh, and look at this. Va pintando. He goes along painting. Not strictly, he is painting. Va pintando gives it a fluid feel. Va pintando. He goes along painting. He carries on painting. Va pintando. It gives it a very rolling feel.
verde. Blanco, verde.
Green,
Sí.
white,
Entonces,
green, white.
Carlitos, oye, Carlitos,
Carlitos hears his name being called.
¿qué
Uh-oh.
haces?
What? ¿Qué
Es
haces?
el
What are you
abuelo.
doing?
El abuelo ha vuelto,
Grandpa has come back
al garaje
to the
y ha
garage.
visto,
He
ha
has
visto
seen,
la silla.
he has seen
silla.
the chair.
Y Carlitos se sorprende.
Carlitos is surprised. He is surprised and he himself is surprised. Not Grandpa surprises him. He feels surprised. Se sorprende. He feels surprised.
Carlitos dice, pero Yayo, mira, mira,
Grandpa,
mira,
look.
qué bonita.
Look
qué
how pretty
bonita
this
la silla.
is.
Queda muy bien con
This
verde,
looks really good.
verde y blanco.
Green and white,
Sí,
looking good.
queda muy bonita. Y el abuelo dice, no, Carlitos,
He says,
no.
no.
La abuela lo oye al abuelo
Grandma hears.
y viene
And she
y
comes
ve
over,
la
viene.
silla y la abuela no sabe si llorar o si reírse.
Grandma doesn't know whether she should cry or laugh. Yeah, grandma no sabe si llorar o si reírse. She doesn't know whether to laugh or whether to cry.
No sabe si reírse o llorar. Sí.
Reírse
Entonces-
is to just start laughing, to laugh at.
La abuela se lleva a Carlitos.
She
Se lo lleva,
takes
lo saca del garaje,
she takes him out
le
of the
quita
garage.
la bata.
Ah, le quita. She takes the coverall off of him. Le quita. She takes it off of him, right? The thing she takes off is la bata, but she takes it off of him. We're emphasizing the him part. Le quita. She takes it off him.
Se la quita.
Se la
bata
quita. She takes it. La is this thing. La bata. Se la quita is she takes it off of him. The le quita, because I combined it with two pronouns, with se and la, the le turned into a se. Se la quita, she takes it, the coverall, off of him. The le turned into a se because I had two pronouns together. Look at all the confusing things that se does.
Claro, estaba muy sucia.
It was really dirty.
Entonces, Carlitos y la abuela van a la cocina.
Carlitos
Y en la
and
cocina,
Grandma go off to the
La
kitchen.
abuela está preparando
Oh, she is fixing cookies. She is making
Galletas.
cookies. She's preparing
galletas.
cookies.
Sí,
Está
está
preparando
preparando
galletas.
galletas.
Cookies.
Y Carlitos, claro, quiere ayudar.
And he wants
Sí.
to help.
Entonces, la abuela le dice,
Grandma
Carlitos,
says to him,
tú
Carlitos,
amasa, haz la masa.
tamasa.
La masa.
And here they didn't really do an accurate. La amasa. This should be amasa. Amasa. This should be all together. Amasa. She means knead or mix. Knead the dough. Mix the dough. Okay. Amasar is literally to knead, as in kneading bread.
De las galletas, venga.
Just
y
mix it all. Yeah.
La abuela está batiendo,
Oh.
está batiendo una crema.
She's beating up some
Se
cream.
oye el horno. El
Oh,
horno.
she hears the
se
oven.
Oye,
Bing. Bing. She
Sí.
hears the
La
the
abuela
ding of the bell.
abre el horno.
Abre el horno.
y
She
saca las
opens the
galletas.
oven and she takes
y
out the cookies.
Carlitos dice, Yaya. Esta es la Yaya. La abuela es la Yaya. Yaya, yo te ayudo.
I'll
Pero
help you.
La abuela tiene miedo de que
Grandma is scared. Tiene miedo de que she is scared that he's going to do something.
Carlitos se queme.
She's afraid, and this is misspelled. Se queme. This is an AI program from YouTube, so that's why it isn't 100% accurate. Carlitos se queme. There should be no accent mark. Se. It should be S-E with no accent mark. Se queme. Se queme. She's afraid that Carlitos might burn himself. He is not, in fact, doing it. So it's not se quema, he burns himself, but se queme, that he might burn himself. And that he might burn himself is called the subjunctive thing. Don't worry about, but se quema is burn himself. Burn himself is a reflexive. He would be burning a part of his body, a true, what they call a reflexive verb, se queme, that he might burn himself.
Se queme porque las galletas están calientes.
Because the cookies are hot.
Están calientes. Sí. Entonces, Carlitos coge
grabs
la batidora,
grabs a blender,
coge la batidora
grabs a mixer,
y en la crema la
and
mete
sticks it in
en
the
la
cream.
crema y
Yep.
sale crema.
Cream comes out. So we would probably say cream shoots out. Yeah, shoots out, because that's really what it's doing. Salir is to go out, but it's coming out of the bowl. And because it's coming out of the bowl, it's salir. Sale crema. Cream is shooting out. Cream is coming out of the bowl.
Sale crema por todas partes.
All over,
Todo,
por todas partes. Literally, for all parts. Por todas partes means everywhere. It's shooting out everywhere.
La cocina
through the
está
whole kitchen.
sucia
The
con
whole
crema.
kitchen's dirty with cream.
No, Carlitos, no, ¿qué haces?
What are you doing, Carlitos? No.
Y la abuela le dice,
She says to him,
Carlitos,
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 stop,
para la batidora, párala.
stop the
Pero
mixer.
Carlitos no sabe cómo pararla
He doesn't know how to stop it. He doesn't know how to turn it
y
off.
la crema sigue saliendo.
Ooh, look, seguir with an yendo. Sigue saliendo. La crema sigue saliendo. The cream keeps on shooting out all over the place. Keeps on shooting out all over the place.
Sí. Al final, la
At the-
abuela
in
la
the end,
desenchufa. La
she unplugs it.
desenchufa. No, desenchufa.
La desenchufa la batidora. She unplugs it. The la stands for batidora, the mixer. Yeah. It, she unplugs. Desenchufa is unplugs. It, she unplugs, meaning grandma's doing that.
La batidora y la abuela está enfadada.
Oh, she's
Está
mad.
enfadada con
She's mad.
Carlitos. Y Carlitos dice, ya sé, me voy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know already. He knows he's in trouble. Ya sé. I know already.
Me voy.
Me voy. I'll take
Carlitos,
off. Oh, me voy. We can use ir with se. Irse is not just to go, but to go away. In English, you would say to take off. Not take off clothing, but take off as in get out of here. Me voy. I'm out of here. I'll leave. I'll go. He knows he's not wanted. Ya sé. I know already. Me voy. I'll leave. So he already knows what grandma wants him to do.
Carlitos se va,
Se va.
coge
He takes off. Se va.
dos galletas y
He doesn't
se
take
va.
22. Look, yeah, he
Carlitos
takes 2
sube.
cookies.
Sube las escaleras.
Oh,
Sube
he goes up
al
the stairs.
primer piso. Sube al primer piso.
And
Y
notice he calls this the first floor. They're not in the basement. Primer piso is the second floor, what we would call the second floor or the second story, right? But they call that quite often primer piso, okay? Because this is with a ground floor. Yeah, primer, yeah. Okay.
Carlitos le dice, voy a buscar mis juguetes.
Oh,
Carlitos tiene
I'm gonna look for my
juguetes
toys.
aquí, en casa de sus abuelos, ¿no?
He
Y
has toys at grandma and
aquí
grandpa's house.
está la habitación,
Here's the
la
bedroom.
habitación con juguetes.
Here's the
Pero
bedroom with toys.
Carlitos ve
But
otra
Carlitos
escalera.
sees another
Ve
staircase.
la escalera que va arriba, va al desván.
Oh, it goes up to the desván. Desván is a what? An attic. He sees more stairs and they go to the
Al
attic.
desván de la casa, sí. Y Carlitos sube al
Carlitos
desván.
goes up.
En el desván hay
In the attic.
cosas. Hay muchas cosas.
There are lots of
muchas
things.
cosas viejas.
Lots of old stuff.
Carlitos encuentra un
Carlitos
sombrero,
finds a hat.
Un sombrero del abuelo.
He finds
y
a
se lo pone.
grandpa hat. Ooh, se lo
el
pone.
sombrero. Hay
He puts it on himself. The se here means himself. Se lo pone, the lo stands for it, the hat, el sombrero. Se lo pone, he puts it on himself, on his own body. Se lo pone. He puts it on himself. The se means himself.
Hay un espejo.
Oh, and there's a
y
mirror.
Carlitos se mira en el espejo.
Se mira means he looks at himself. He's looking at his own reflection. Se mira, he looks at himself in the mirror. As kids will pose, yeah.
Y hay un baúl.
There's a
Carlitos
trunk.
Ve un baúl. un baúl.
Baúl is
Carlitos
a
abre,
trunk like where you would keep old things. Yeah, a wooden trunk.
abre el baúl.
He opens up
Y en
the
el
trunk.
baúl hay cubiertos, ¿no? Hay cubiertos.
Oh, there's
hay platos. Hay platos,
Yeah,
platos
there
de
are serving pieces, there's silverware, cubiertos, there's silverware and plates. So here's where the plates come in. Platos de porcelana. There's china. Platos de porcelana are china dishes, right? Literally plates made of porcelain. So that means it's china.
porcelana. Y abajo, abajo del baúl, en el fondo,
Way
en el
down in the
fondo
bottom
ve
of the trunk.
un reloj. Un
Ooh,
reloj.
there's a
Un reloj
watch.
de bolsillo.
A pocket watch.
Carlitos lo ve.
Bolsillo is a pocket. Un reloj de bolsillo is a pocket watch. So this is, yeah, it's old stuff. The old china, the old pocket watch, that's what's in the trunk.
Y lo quiere el reloj.
He wants it.
Y saca los platos. Hay platos.
He takes
Hay
out the
muchos.
plates.
Muchos platos.
There are lots of plates.
Muchos platos. Y Carlitos los saca. ¿no?
He takes them out. Los saca.
Del baúl.
Them, the
¿Qué
plates
haces?
he takes out.
Es la mamá. La
Mom
mamá
walks
de
in.
Carlitos. La mamá de Carlitos ha vuelto. Ha venido. Lo ha visto. Carlitos, ¿qué haces?
She has seen
Carlitos
him.
se asusta.
Se asusta. He gets scared. Oh, he is startled. He feels this and he himself is startled because mom has yelled, ¿Qué haces? What are you doing? Se asusta. He gets scared. He is startled. He is scared.
Se asusta y tumba los platos.
And
Le da un golpe a los platos.
yeah, he hits the plates, but this is accidental now. Okay. Because he's startled, he gives a golpe is a blow, which sounds really kind of forceful, but le da un golpe, he hits the plates. He doesn't do this on purpose though. If he knocks them over, tumba, meaning they're knocked over. Los platos se caen. The plates fall over. They fall down.
Se rompen.
And they get broken. They get broken. This se rompen means they get into a broken state. He did not in anger pick them up and throw them all over the room. He knocked them over, yes, but unintentionally. Se rompen, they got broken.
Se rompen los platos y la mamá le dice, Carlitos, estos platos, los platos son de la boda,
they're from,
del casamiento,
they're from the
de los
wedding.
yayos, del
They're,
yayo y la yaya.
they're from the grandpa and grandma and grandpa's wedding.
Los platos son de cuando se casaron.
It's from when they got married.
El abuelo, la abuela vienen, suben.
Oh, grandma and grandpa, they come up, they go up, suben, they go up the
al desván
stairs
y ven
to
los platos.
the attic. They see the
Carlitos,
plates.
Carlitos se pone a llorar.
Se pone a llorar. He starts to cry. Se pone with an action means he begins. He bursts out crying.
Se pone a llorar. Perdón.
He knows
Es
he's in
que
for it now.
me he asustado.
I got scared.
Mamá ha gritado y yo
Mom yelled at
me he
me.
asustado.
I got
Perdón.
scared.
Y
Sorry.
la abuela lo abraza.
Lo abraza. Him she embraces. So it's a direct object. She embraces him. She hugs him. Lo abraza. She hugs him.
a Carlitos y le dice, Carlitos, no pasa nada.
She's telling him not to get all worked up. No pasa nada. Nothing wrong here, Carlitos.
Pasa nada. Los platos los íbamos a vender.
You know what? We were going to sell the plates. We were going to get rid of these plates anyway.
Íbamos a vender igualmente.
We were going to sell them anyway.
Entonces Carlitos sonríe.
He smiles.
Y dice, bien. Entonces coge más platos y los tira.
Now, well, if you're just going to get rid of them, I'll break them. Los tira. Now he
rompemos
does throw them.
Todos. Sí.
And now it's not se rompen, it's rompen. Now he does throw them on purpose. Oh, as long as you don't care, I'll bust them all up. And now it is rompe, not se rompe, because now it was not by accident. Now he did intentionally throw them. Does that help?
See.
That gives you a running leap into what happens with reflexives. The se, we're going to take a little look at some of these se verbs and what reflexive verbs mean. I'm going to have you take a look at a couple of videos. Reflexive verbs, some verbs just are reflexive and have a special meaning, like caerse, to fall down. We use a preposition down, se caen. But some verbs are reflexive, as in the person who does an action also receives the benefit of that action. Like when he looked in the mirror and it was se mira, he looks, he's doing the looking, and what he sees is himself. Se mira, he sees himself. So I'm going to give you a couple of videos to watch about what reflexives are on their very most basic level, so you kind of get a feel for that. Some verbs are reflexive, and many times when you see verbs with a se, they will be reflexive, meaning an action is happening and it'll either have a special kind of twist meaning or that they're doing that action to themselves. Okay, so you have to get used to listening for it, as it'll have that component of me, nos, te, or se paired up with the verb. Okay, and that'll be your signal that it is what they call a reflexive verb. And you'll just have to kind of get used to, sometimes you're going to hear these kinds of reflexive verbs. It's a special category of verb. It doesn't mean it's necessarily irregular. It might be, but it's a verb where we cannot leave off the pronoun like you do with yo, tú, él, ella, usted, ellos. We have to use the me, nos, te, or se. We have to use it with that verb because it changes the meaning of the verb when that pronoun goes with the verb. Okay, ¿está bien?
Está bien.
Okay,
Yeah.
and your homework is going to be to listen to a couple of videos that talk about this so that you kind of recognize these as you go along. And I think that probably just seeing that, I might give you a short video, but won't be as long as that one for next week. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Gracias.
Okay, vale. So you start to get used to hearing some of these se combined with a verb. But if it's a yo verb, it might be me with the verb. If it's a nosotros action, it might be nos with the verb. Okay, but the pronoun will always match up, be in a similar form to the verb it uses. Bien?
Yeah.
Gracias.
Excelente. If you want to join for past tense action on Wednesday, feel free to do that. You don't have to. If you don't feel ready to do that, don't worry about it. You don't have to, but you can if you wish. ¿Está bien? Okay. Entonces, esto y todo. I think that's it for today. See? Wow. I was going to send you off into one little extra activity. We're going to have to save that for next week. I will give you ahead of time. I will send this to you. Your conversation topics, I will send the pictures for that so you can plan something out for next week. Bien? It'll be a drill on talking about how things are alike and how they might be different. And I will send you the list of pictures so you can ponder that and think about what you're going to talk about next week. Bien?
Sí, gracias.
Vale, de nada. Okay. Nos vemos muy pronto. Nos vemos la semana que viene. We'll see you guys next week. ¿Sí? Bien.
Adiós.
Hasta luego.
Adiós.
Cuídense.
Hasta luego.
Take care of yourselves. Cuídense. Cuídense.